I am the Reading Rainbow Emperor, and today I am reviewing Brian Jacques' Redwall. This is one of the best books of my childhood. I return to it time and time again without wearying of it. I enjoyed the sequels for book after book until the Tagarung, which honestly is the last really good Redwall book, sadly. And though I'm not a big fan of as before of his works, his death did affect me when it happened a few years ago. Practically the definition of an involved author, he even narrated his own books in the audio productions. I still fondly remember his ending sequences where he talked about his world, his pronunciation of names, words, recipes, what a man, and an author to look up to. Redwall begins with a feast and all the great introductions one needs for their characters. I can remember even now Clooney the Scourge's introduction. Clooney was a god of war. Clooney was getting nearer. Honestly, few villains, except perhaps Ungatron, the fearsome beast, Frogo the assassin, or Sarmina, even comes close to his presence in the book. Almost every villain follows in his footsteps, even if he shows up around the middle of the timeline in the series. Martin, Matthias, Basil Staghair, Methuselah, Mortimer, Conflower, Constance, Ambrose, Spike, and all the other good characters have the real spark of life and heroism in them that makes them a joy to uh, interact with in the book. Clooney lays siege to Redwall Abbey while Matthias and Methuselah search for Martin, the patron saint and protector of Redwall's Abbey's sword. And it's not Christian, which is kind of funny. It's like, it's an abbey of what? It just helps people. What follows is two expert parallel storylines that only meet in their beginning and end. Clooney's war on Redwall goes on while the search turns up red herring after red herring. Yeah, it's good. As even though it's like you think that a book this long would have more variety, but it's like no, it's just those two things. Notable scenes thrill the mind's eye, includes Clooney's siege engine, Matthias' time with the attic sparrows, and the crossbow. Mm, crossbows. While Clooney is thwarted at every turn, he still remains a threat. Even as he goes deeper into madness and obsession, at no point do we ever think, he's a pushover. It's like, no, he still kills people with his bare claws. He's threatening. Matthias searches deeper and deeper into the lore of Redwall and Martin the Warrior. Eventually, he discovers that the adder, Asmodeus, has taken the sword from the sparrows and hidden it away. Undergoing great trials, he discovers the lair and slays the snake, while bringing peace to the shrews and snow owl and all the other companions he made along the way. Meanwhile, Clooney the Scourge successfully invades Redwall by sending in a bankful disguised as yeah, that feels about right. Disguised as one of the Redwallers. He is about to put them all to the sword, but Matthias, armed and armored with the sword of Martin, confronts him. Their battle rages all over the abbey, but ends with Clooney holding Friar Hugo hostage in the bell tower and demanding that Matthias trade his life for the friar. Matthias agrees, but when the friar is clear, he cuts the ropes and drops the great bell of Redwall, the Joseph bell, onto him, smashing the warlord to bits. Ultimately, this is a fantastic example of a good foundation book for the series. It shows enough of the world, even with all the weird references that don't show up in later books, to the real world stuff. And it's not too expansive either. It has just enough of Mossflower in the countryside to be interesting and feel like a real world. The sides of the conflicts are past and future are established, Vermin and Redwaller. It has just enough history to make Mossflower, the prequel, very much worth reading afterwards. Matthias as a hero is fairly milquetoast, really, but his evolution from clumsy novice to swordsman hero works like a charm. In Matameo, his existence as Redwall's defending warrior pays dividends because we have seen him mature. There's no decline to his character, just the fantastic growth as he overcomes all the obstacles in his way. His dynamic with Methuselah is fun and natural, and some of the best writing in a book full of great writing. What's more, the side character of Asmodeus has the weight and menace to bolster the threats to Redwall, while not even being interesting or involved with the goings on. His appearance is always coincided with the death of minor characters, friendlier vermin. He devours the dead and the living with its sibilant gusto, and later adders, each being a threat into their own right, never matches menace or gravitas. He still has this great snake sound to him. Asmodeus. And then it goes on and on. It's just great. The inventive ways Clooney attempts to evade Redwall and the defense keeps rereads fresh. Not only do few villains barely even match Clooney's inventiveness and determination, fewer still match his results. The amount of characters who breached Redwall are just him. Salamandastron has a worse record than Redwall, and it's the home of Badger Lords and the Long Patrol, perilous fighters, uh, who are absolute monsters. Even with clever villains like Greypatch, the Marl Foxes, and brutes like Damog Warfang, few can claim his sheer determination. He was a villain tailor-made for this book, and like all truly great villains, he will never be forgotten. Unlike some series I've read and dropped, forgotten into the memory hole, it deserves its series, its sequels, and its awards. It's a thing of a different era, more like the fantasies of the past than the modern dreck that has come out at the same time. Characters and motivation are clear, noble, and consistent. There are no punishing scenes, no preaching scenes, no crazed morals, no speeches as to why they are good. There's the understanding that Clooney is evil and beyond redemption, and that he needs to be defeated for his own sake. Or rather, he will never beg for redemption. I'll put it like that. It is understood that the war he fights is unjust, that is, he is unjust, and that killing his vermin henchmen, who would rape and pillage given every opportunity, is just for its own sake. It's not a matter of debate who started what, there's no moral ambiguity. Clooney showed up to take Redwall for his own. Oh, those poor vermin, if only they had the chance. Doesn't fly. The second they have the chance, they do evil. Selah and her son Chicken Hound live by the sword and die by the sword. Chicken Hound's murder of Methuselah is pointless and sudden if you believe that, vermin are capable of morality in this world. His death is, of course, very satisfying because of that. Because there is no ambiguity, it makes the finale all the more satisfying. It's cathartic to see what happens to Clooney, to Chicken Hound, Selah, and all the hench-rats and all that stuff, just because they are evil and they aren't stupid evil. Or there's some stupid characters, but it's not that weird, pathetic, obvious evil that you see sometimes. Moral quandaries are not always best for literature. You have to tailor-made it. An evil thing can be evil, and Brian Jacques understood it when he wrote this. Ignoring the anachronisms, Redwall is the model that all series hopefuls should imitate. Solid rules, genuine characters, and awesome descriptions and settings. Its flaws are skin-deep, and its glory is eternal. I won't go into all the books of Redwall, but from time to time I will review one of my favorites. Redwall is truly great, but it would not be so well remembered if the sequels hadn't kept that legacy going. Personally, I find the must-read ones are Redwall, Mossflower, Madameo, Martin the Warrior, Lord Brocktree, and Tagarung, which are the ones I own. Salamandastron, the Long Patrol, Outcasts of Redwall, and the Pearls of Lucha are also quite excellent choices. Brian Jacques also wrote a fantastic collection of horror stories, which I recommend. Check him out. He and his books are a pleasure and a treasure, and excellent stuff. Just perfect. Thank you all for joining me, as always, on my reviews. I'm sorry for the drop in camera quality. I've gone through some changes, promoted at work, that sort of thing, but it means more responsibility and more time. But when I get into a point where I'm secure, I will certainly re-up my camera. I hope you all have a wonderful rest of your week, and thank you, as always, for supporting me. Please like, comment, and subscribe, share it around, and all that good stuff if you thought this was any sort of good, as I hope you did. And I wish you the best.